This week on ANN, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Russia clarifies the standing of a former member who's suspected in a high-profile case.
The White House proposes new rules to improve federal support of faith-based organizations.
And during an annual convention, Ted Wilson, president of the denomination, encourages lay members to build up Jesus' church.
These stories and more are coming up.
This is ANN, a service of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
First in the news, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Euro-Asia released a statement in a response to a suspect in a high-profile murder case, who the Russian media has connected to the Adventist Church. Oleg Belov was arrested for the murder of his wife and 6 children. Belov was previously a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He was removed from membership for unchristian-like behavior in December 2007. The church's statement says, "We are deeply shocked with the cruel murder of these children and their mother. The assassin's act is insane and inhuman. We hope that the assassin will be subjected to punishment in obedience to the law, though this punishment would not return the life of the murdered. Our church preaches the biblical principles of welfare, mercy, compassion, and assistance in another's distress. We are ready to render any reasonable assistance to investigative authorities in examination of this monstrous crime."
Last week, the White House proposed new rules to help strengthen partnerships with the U.S. government and faith-based and community organizations. The purpose of the proposals is to ensure that federal funding for social programs is not used for explicit religious activities. For example, according to a White House official in a blog post, if a faith-based provider offers a Bible study as well as a federally supported job training program, the Bible study must be privately funded and separated in time or location from the job training program. The rules will also enforce new protections for beneficiaries of social service programs that are supported by the U.S. government. Furthermore, faith-based organizations will be able to compete for government funds and the continuing protections for their religious identity.
ADRA's mission is to deliver relief and development assistance over 130 countries. We do that by getting support from individuals, organizations, and governments. The U.S. government specifically uses grant as a mechanism to support us. These grants help us provide work in nutrition, agriculture, economic development, and health all over the world, and they give us the resources to be able to deliver these interventions.
The president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church last weekend encouraged independent Adventist organizations to continue looking toward the second coming of Christ. Ted Wilson delivered his message during the annual ASI convention. ASI stands for Adventist Laymen's Services and Industries. The Lift 'em Up convention took place in the U.S. state of Washington. During his message, Wilson said, "God is calling on us to lift him up like never before and to build his church in preparation for Christ's return. He asked us to tell someone else about our relationship with him. This is what ASI is all about." Since the mid-20th century, ASI has provided support to approximately 1,000 members who use various ministries and initiatives to advance the mission of the church.
Also in the U.S. state of Washington last week, more than 7,700 free medical and dental services were given to uninsured or underinsured residents. The services were conducted at a health clinic in Spokane, sponsored by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Your Best Pathway to Health sent this report.
The fourth city to host Your Best Pathway to Health partnered in a significant way with the mega clinic organizer to provide free health care services to the residents of Spokane, Washington. The office of the mayor and the county commissioner's office heavily promoted the event, calling for a pre-event press conference and offering the Spokane Fairgrounds free of charge. On Tuesday, Spokane Mayor David Condon visited the clinic, greeting both patients and volunteers and offering words of appreciation to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Major local media outlets also covered the event, sending multiple satellite trucks to spread the news of services offered. As a result, 3,111 patients received medical, dental, and vision care with services as varied as dental cleanings, same-day crowns, STD screenings, cardiology, pediatrics, mental health, radiology, vision care, and general surgery and orthopedic surgery, along with free haircuts, free medical massages, and free men's suits and wedding gowns, among many, many other services and areas. Both patients and volunteers shared their experiences at the two-day event.
I left here yesterday after a full day of cutting and visiting and talking and hearing stories and sharing the love of Christ through my words and testimony. And I felt so overwhelmed and grateful for knowing Jesus Christ as my Lord, and for the people that don't know Him.
I feel like we have been really blessed by blessing other people, so I'm very excited about this ministry.
The experience was great. The people you dealt with that were doing the services, whether it was an x-ray or an intake, they really seemed to know what they were doing. They were very informed.
Organizers consider the event a tremendous success, allowing the Seventh-day Adventist community of faith to bring hope and wholeness to the residents of Spokane while communicating clearly that their whole life matters. Reporting from Your Best Pathway to Health in Spokane, Washington, this is Costin Jordash.
A nonprofit organization established by chef and television personality Emeril Lagasse recently announced an initiative that will exist on the campus of a Seventh-day Adventist high school. In the beginning of 2016, the Orlando Junior Academy will be the home of the new Emeril Lagasse Foundation House and Culinary Garden. The facility will be a state-of-the-art teaching kitchen with 4 cooking stations. The house will also have a 2,000 square foot garden. Students will have the opportunity to sell food products that will be made in the facility.
An Adventist pastor recently made history by accepting an appointment to serve as an official for Jamaica's police force. Gary Anthony Badu Fletcher, the former executive secretary for the Seventh-day Adventist Church in North Jamaica, was recently appointed as the new force chaplain of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, or JCF. Badu Fletcher, who will also be the Assistant Commissioner of Police, is the first Adventist to hold this position and the 5th force chaplain of the JCF. In this role, Badu Fletcher will counsel, train, supervise, and assess police officers throughout the island nation. Everett Brown, president of the Seventh-day Adventist Church of Jamaica, expressed his support of Badu Fletcher, saying, "We're very happy that the Seventh-day Adventist Church could provide someone in the person of Pastor Badu Fletcher to serve at this time in this position at the national level." Brown went on to say, "He has given outstanding service to the church in Jamaica, and we believe that with his experience and commitment to serving his fellow men, he will be an asset to the JCF and the wider society."
As the United States heads toward another presidential election year, many want to know how candidates will work to alleviate poverty. Many politicians believe the best efforts to end poverty stem from churches, charities, and faith-based organizations. In 2010, the Seventh-day Adventist Church approved an official statement on global poverty. In it, the church says, working to reduce poverty and hunger means more than showing sympathy to the poor. It means advocating for public policy that offers justice and fairness to the poor for their empowerment and human rights. It means sponsoring and participating in programs that address the causes of poverty and hunger, helping people to build sustainable lives. I sat down earlier with Jose Cortez Jr. to discuss how the Seventh-day Adventist Church and its members can address poverty. Here's our conversation. Jose, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Julio. It's good to be here.
Oh, pleasure. In 2010, the Seventh-day Adventist Church at the last General Conference session voted a statement on how it hoped to reduce poverty and to reaffirm its position commitment for the poor. It's been about 5 years now. It's been a little over 5 years. We heard a lot about a lot of issues at the last General Conference session, but not much, if anything at all, on poverty. How are we doing as an organization?
Well, I think it is good that at least there was a recognition of the problem. I think it all begins there. How are we doing? I know that there are some places, some churches, and I can speak for North America, where some things have been done in order to help in the area of poverty and hunger. I know of churches like the Paradise Church in San Diego, California. They do an excellent program feeding people, giving food to the people. And not only that, but they're also doing training of people so they can get jobs and they're able to
make a sustainable change.
To make a sustainable change, exactly. Because that's part of what we need to do as a church, not only to feed the people, but also give them the opportunity to learn how they can work in the community and get their food. And then there is one more aspect to that, which is how they can get healthy food, how they can eat healthy food. Because at times we have people that have a difficult situation eating, and they end up eating things that are not good.
Right, it can be expensive to eat healthy.
Exactly. So but I think that having said that, we're not doing enough.
Okay.
In the United States, for example, we have 49 million people who are hungry. They have food insecurity.
Right.
In Canada, we have 9.3 million. Every county in the United States suffers of hunger.
That's a serious problem.
Okay, so we think that people are not hungry because we
Right.
live in places that we might not be able to see it. We think of people, only those who are very skinny, as people who are suffering from hunger,
Yeah.
but you can actually be overweight and be suffering from food insecurity. So we're not doing enough.
Jose, we don't have a lot of time, but can you please give me, like, what's a specific example that a local church can do to get involved in this issue without waiting for the organization to take another position?
I'm glad you asked that question because each and every one of our members can help. You see, for this, you don't need to know how to preach or teach. It's just love people and help. You can volunteer. There is hunger in every county in the United States, hunger in every state, in province in Canada. There is something that you can do. Partner with organizations. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You have food banks that are there in order to provide food. Very little cost to the church. You don't have to have a lot of money. You have restaurants and supermarkets that throw away $165 billion is thrown away in food in the United States every year. That could feed about 25 million people.
And that's, I assume that's food that's in good condition.
So,
I mean,
in very good condition.
Right.
So partner with organizations that have food and become the one that gives out the food, the distributor of food in your community. That is a very simple thing that can be done and can be a blessing. Another thing that you can do is have training classes. So people can help, you can help the community on learning how to get a job and how to do something that is significant in order for them to be able to get their own food. And another thing, classes on how to eat healthy food.
Jose, there's so many simple things that we can do to begin to make a difference. Thank you so much for joining us.
Blessings.
And this is a very important conversation. Obviously, we need to dedicate much more time to this, and we will continue to talk about this topic from time to time on Adventist News Network.
Coming up, teenagers participate in a 25th annual mission trip sponsored by Maranatha Volunteers International.
But up next, 6 churches in the Washington, D.C. area joined forces to address poverty in the nation's capital.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Elena et je suis en train de parler en français. Il y a beaucoup de vidéos très chouettes, mais pas beaucoup sont traduites. Vous pouvez aider.
Join the Amara translation and caption team today. Amara is easy to learn and fun. You can volunteer in your free time. Join this community today and provide great content in your language.
Welcome back. And now for more news from our global church community.
In Washington, D.C., Adventist youth and young adults from the metropolitan area recently ministered to the homeless and raised awareness of inner-city poverty through an annual outreach event. More than 800 people participated in the third Park and Praise event, where food, clothing, and toiletries were distributed to hundreds of people in need. Volunteers also set up a health checkup station and assembled prayer teams for anyone who requested prayer. The event also featured poetry, musical groups, and an inspirational message. Park and Praise was a collaborative effort between 6 Adventist local churches. Organizers of the event have already received interest from additional Adventist churches and government agencies to participate in Park and Praise 2016.
For 2 weeks, 150 volunteers from North America participated in an Ultimate Impact mission trip in the nation of Panama. Maranatha Volunteers International sent this report.
In July, 150 volunteers occupied the city of Changuinola, Panama, for a teens-only mission trip called the Ultimate Workout. Organized by Maranatha Volunteers International, this year's Ultimate Workout invited young people for a 2-week service adventure. Alongside daily worship, volunteers worked on multiple projects. This included constructing a new church, building 2 classrooms for the Changuinola Seventh-day Adventist School, church renovation, and painting at 2 sites, daily children's programs at 4 different locations, and medical and veterinary outreach. The veterinary outreach was new to Ultimate Workout this year. Community members specifically requested this service for their animals. The teen volunteers, working with volunteer veterinarians, saw more than 300 animals during the mission trip. At the end of the 2-week project, Ultimate Workout participants spent their last Sabbath in Panama with several local congregations. One of the worships took place at the New Finca 6 Church, built by Ultimate Workout volunteers. After 8 years without a home, This was their first Sabbath in a church of their own. And the last event in Changanola, 6 young people gave their hearts to Christ, forever changed by the act of ultimate service. This is the 25th anniversary of Ultimate Workout. The goal of the mission program is to stretch young people physically, mentally, and spiritually as they grow toward a closer relationship with Jesus Christ.
In the Church's Southern Asia-Pacific region, the Adventist University of the Philippines was recently granted the right to admit foreign students. The endorsement was granted by the Philippines Commission of Higher Education. The approval was welcomed by the university, especially since the school only asked for an exemption to enroll 1 foreign prospective student. Lisa Beardsley-Hardy, Director of Education for the Seventh-day Adventist Church, has more.
This letter from the Executive Director of CHED, the Commission for Higher Education for the Republic of the Philippines, to the Bureau of Immigration of the Republic of the Philippines is very significant for the Adventist University of the Philippines. This medical school is supposed to serve the whole division, that is 14 countries, and not just one country. This letter enables them to admit foreign students, and in their inaugural class they already have 1 foreign student among the batch of Filipino students. This enables it to be truly an international medical school serving the region and beyond.
John Rudametkin, former NBA player turned Seventh-day Adventist, died last week at the age of 75. Rudametkin lost his fight to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which ended his professional basketball career. Rudametkin was most known for this basketball career during his time as a student at the University of Southern California, where he was named All-American twice and led the team to win a national championship. Rudametkin's diagnosis with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma forced him to stop playing basketball in 1965 at the age of 25. When faced with the terminal illness, he turned to God to find inner peace. In 1967, he was baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He remained an active member of the church until his final days.
In the Caribbean nation of St. Martin, the Seventh-day Adventist Church recently concluded a successful rally for its lay members. More than 800 lay persons celebrated evangelistic efforts that took place in the nation throughout the last 2 years. Attendees of the rally also received training and encouragement to continue their work in advancing the mission of the church. Henry Peters, organizer of the event and Sabbath School and Personal Ministries Director for the church in the Northern Caribbean Union, praised God for the work of lay members. He said, "We will celebrate the birth of scores of souls which the effort of the laity have brought forth to the foot of the cross, and the individual achievements of several of our lay evangelists, both in public and personal evangelism, as well as the work of administrators, directors, and pastors who have given outstanding service in directing the efforts of the lay forces."
In the Canadian city of Toronto, Adventists took to the streets to advocate against violence and the use of drugs. Members of the Toronto West Seventh-day Adventist Church led a march as they sang songs and held banners promoting peace. The members marched in an area of a city that recently saw the death of a 14-year-old as a result of an illegal firearm. The church's Pathfinders and Adventurers also participated in the march. The anti-violence march concluded with an outdoor gospel concert. Members also took the opportunity to let community members know of the church's many outreach services, including a smoking cessation program, anti-drug program, and English as a second language classes.
And finally in the news this week, the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the Caribbean held a territory-wide youth congress for the first time in 42 years. The aim of the 2-week Activate St. Lucie Congress was to inspire young people to develop and maintain a relationship with Jesus. Nearly 1,000 people participated in the Congress on the island nation of St. Lucia. During the first week of the Congress, attendees participated in service projects in several communities, including renovating homes, repainting school buildings, cleaning streets and parks, and distributing food to community members in need. During the Congress's second week, young people had a chance to take part in seminars that focused on topics including leadership, social media evangelism, and chaplaincy.
Coming up, find out how you can stay up to date with religious liberty news on Facebook.
But up next, find out what's in the latest edition of Ministry Magazine. And welcome back. In this month's issue of Ministry Magazine, you'll see features from this publication's student writing contest. Willie Hux has more.
30 years ago, I began my pastoral ministry in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I knew there was much I needed to learn, and time and experience would be my best teachers. Yet I knew I could contribute even as an associate pastor in a small district. The years have come and gone, and now I am honored to have spent more than 15 of those years training present and future pastors and theologians. And training involves providing an environment and opportunities for growth. With that in mind, 8 years ago, Ministry Magazine started the Student Writing Contest as a way of encouraging young thinkers to contribute more to professional scholarship. Over the years, these winners have gone on to successfully serve the Adventist Church as pastors and university professors, and they continue to write for Ministry Magazine and other publications. The September issue of Ministry features 2 more young writers, Keldi Paroshi and Chigemezi Wogu. Like our other young winners, they bring an international perspective to their theological and practical writings. The other articles to be published in September are, ironically, written by individuals who have dedicated their lives to training the pastors, theologians, and historians of the church for today and tomorrow. Enjoy and be blessed by these articles.
For this week's social media report, Angela Type A introduces the Facebook page for the International Religious Liberty Association.
After 122 years, the world's oldest voice for religious freedom is joining the world of social media with the launch of their new Facebook page. The International Religious Liberty Association, known as the IRLA, got its start way back in 1893 when leaders of the Seventh-day Adventist Church decided to set up an organization to promote freedom of conscience. But what was really remarkable was that these pioneer Adventists wanted the IRLA to speak not just on behalf of fellow church members, but to be a voice for all religious minorities facing discrimination or persecution. This was a pretty progressive idea for the time. They believed that freedom of choice was a God-given gift and should be defended for everyone, not just Seventh-day Adventists. Today, the mission of the IRLA remains the same as it was back in 1893, but its work and influence have grown tremendously with member associations around the world and official status as NGO at the United Nations. The IRLA Facebook page gives you a fascinating window into the work of this organization. You can get current religious freedom news, learn more about becoming a religious liberty advocate in your local community, and you can find many different resources, including videos, articles, and statistics to use in presentations at church or other events. So check out the IRLA on Facebook at facebook.com/irla.hq and like the page to stay up to date on current news related to religious persecution and freedom of conscience.
The Seventh-day Adventist Church in North America recently launched a website that offers resources for pastors, teachers, administrators, and seekers who want to strengthen their tools for ministry. For this week's Tech Corner, the Adventist Learning Community sent this report.
The mission of the Adventist Learning Community is to empower people with the passion and skills necessary to further the kingdom of Christ in the 21st century. Because of technology, we can put training, education, and resources into the palms of people's hands anywhere and anytime. Whether you're a pastor, teacher, church administrator, believer, or Christ seeker, you'll be able to find free courses that you can take for continuing education credit, certification, or just for fun. Our ministerial and educational library puts Seventh-day Adventist resources from around the world at your fingertips. Watch a video, read an article, and share what you find with others. Explore our course catalog and see if there's a faith-based course you'd like to take or a resource you could use in your ministry or devotional life.
Now let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history. This week, learn about the ministry of Vanuatu's first Adventist missionaries.
This week in Adventist history was the week of the 13th General Conference session, which convened in Battle Creek, Michigan on August 10, 1874, with 19 delegates. They met for 6 days, re-electing James White as president and Uriah Smith as secretary, while Harmon Lindsay became the 7th person to serve as GC treasurer. The 13th session was crucial in Adventist history for the resolution adopted on the last day of the session, August 15, 1874, which was that the General Conference instruct the Executive Committee to send Elder J.N. Andrews to Switzerland as soon as practicable. That General Conference session action was the basis for dispatching Andrews as the first official Seventh-day Adventist missionary. He sailed for Europe 2 months later. 38 years later, on August 11, 1912, Calvin H. Parker and his wife Myrtle, the first Seventh-day Adventist missionaries to Vanuatu, landed in that island country, then called the New Hebrides. The Parkers were missionaries from Minnesota in the United States and had worked in Fiji and Australia before going to Vanuatu. Another missionary to the South Pacific, J.E. Fulton, later paid tribute to Parker's arduous labor pioneering in the New Hebrides. Besides suffering much from the ravaging fevers, he was oft times in danger among cannibals. But his kind, godly manner won the hearts of these desperate people, many of whom became his friends, and numbers of them yielded their hearts to God. That was this week in Adventist history.
Thank you so much for watching ANN. Join us next week for more news from the headquarters of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
In the meantime, join our global conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can connect with Adventists worldwide through more stories, photos, and videos. Visit Facebook/Adventist News, Twitter @Adventist Church, and Instagram @Adventist Church.
And our good news for this week comes from Ephesians chapter 4, verse 31 and 32. The passage says, "Get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other just as in Christ God forgave you."
That's our program for this week. And remember, you can always visit news.adventist.org for daily news and videos. Until next time, God bless.
Take care.